Real quick, as I get to my presentation using here, like Sakura said, my name is Blake Springer. I'm not from Oklahoma. I'm actually from Washington State, not DC. I've got a lot of questions when I've come down here because not a lot of people know. It's surprising. A lot of people have asked me, they don't know where Washington State is, and that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Anyways, I'm from a little town called Moses Lake, Washington, very small. If you look at a map of Washington State and you point right in the middle, you found my hometown. Back there, I got into sports broadcasting. I was fortunate enough to be asked to take over a sports talk show at the local radio station, AM 1470. It's called Sports Talk, very generic, but really fun, and it's kind of how I made my way. And coming here, I made the decision to come to Baycone and getting into the communications program, and it's been really fun, different, because I've never been to Oklahoma. I've never really traveled outside the state of Washington. I've been to Atlanta, but that was only for a couple days, and so this was a huge transition, cultural change, and so I was a little scared moving here. It's not something that I thought I would end up doing with my life, moving here to Oklahoma. So it's been fun, and like Raquel, I will be graduating in May, actually in 16 days with finals moving around. So like it's moving fast, and kind of scary because you have to make your next step in life. And so like I'm sharing with you today will be my podcast, and for some reason,
You have to go on the Google and log in with yours.
oh no. Sorry guys.
Take your time.
So anyways, I was continue talking about myself. Here actually this year, I was able to receive a job from the sports department, athletic department, and I was the play-by-play announcer for the basketball team. And so like, I just really like being a part of sports broadcasting. It's easy for me being able to just talk any sports, and you know, the podcast that I'm doing, this is bad. There we go. Okay. All right, here we go. And sorry if I'm nervous up here. Today's kind of a big day. We have our senior day. Play baseball here at Baycone College. So today's our last home game of the year, and the season's kind of coming down to an end. So my baseball career as itself is, you know, trickling down. So it's kind of scary to think about. I've been playing baseball forever, so it's tough to see it wind down. But anyways, here is the logo, Springer Sports Podcast. Easy to find on podbean.com. It was a great website that I found that I could work for free, and that was the biggest thing moving in this capstone, because this is my capstone experiences. I did not want to spend any money because, for one, we're college students and have no money. So, which was great. So Podbean allowed me to do this, and I was able to share it to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm going to be soon on iTunes once I figure out just the logo on it. So anyways, we'll get to Podbean. How I do on Podbean, I actually, since I didn't spend any money, I do not have a professional studio. I don't have any microphones or anything. I put headphones on, plug it in my phone, and as you see here on the Podbean app through, if you have an iPhone, I'm sure Android the same, but I hit the little red recording button, and as I get to the red recording button, it takes me to this page right here. I start recording, I plug in my introduction, the music intro, and what's great is it allows me, it is only max 90 minutes, but as for my project, I didn't want to do anything between over 30 minutes. I just want to catch the point, keep it to one topic. We live in a world where sports talk shows, they're 3 hours, 4 hours long. For me, I can't talk for 3 hours about sports unless I have the resources, and with busy life, that's tough to do. So I like to keep it one subject and talk at least maybe 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes 15, and it's quick. With that, I feel like it helps engage the audience a little bit better because then they're not, sitting there for 3 hours. No one wants to sit for 3 hours and listen to someone talk to sports on a podcast. It's just not possible unless you're driving across the states. Maybe that'll be different, but I can change the music volume. I'm able to pause and edit immediately. If I make a mistake, I can go pause and edit it immediately, which has been great because we make mistakes a lot, and so that's been nice. And instantly, once I'm done, pause, stop, upload it, and it's there immediately and instantly. Like, we are living in a world today where we can just share things right through this thing right here, and that's been the biggest thing, is just using my mobile device. And so I'll take you to the Podbean which has been great. It's simple. In the end, though, nothing is free, and so even though I started with $0 into this, you were only allowed 50 gigabytes of storage space. And so obviously, when you produce content that's 20, 30 minutes, that takes up space. So I had to spend $5 and I get unlimited storage, $5 a month. That's easy. That's better than having to spend hundreds to thousands of dollars on a professional studio and just keeping it up to date. So it's been good. It shows, I can show you my podcast. Here, the analytics. It's tough though, because Podbean, since you have to create an account, so a lot of people don't have the patience for that, so they're just kind of like, oh, if that's it, it's not really that important to them. But I still get engaged through Podbean. I have over in double digits in followers. The downloads of my episodes have been great. I think the first episode I had more downloads than 9. Lately, there's just been more, so it's been good. But I really like to focus on Facebook and Twitter, and then moving it to YouTube, and then here shortly, like I said, iTunes, because once you're on iTunes and if you have an iPhone, you already have your account, a little easier to get on. And so I feel like once I'm on iTunes, I'll gain more followers and listeners. I'm pretty excited about that. So here it is. If you go to my site, it's right there. It has all the episodes, and it shows how many likes and how many downloads I've received. It'll show you my followers, who I will follow. It's pretty simple. And we'll move back, and I'll show you the Facebook page. And Facebook was great because, for one, I had my own personal Facebook page, and from there, I just created the sports page and used my personal Facebook friends and invited all of them to join and follow the Springer Sports Podcast. And instantly, when I started that day, I think within the day, I was over 120 followers. That's just great, and it makes you feel good. You're like, okay, I'm going to move to success immediately, but it kind of stayed right about there. But we're still moving forward. That's all that matters. But still, when you're starting, you're just like, oh, wow. You just see the updates, and, the notifications. It makes you feel good. I'm like, okay, maybe I will make it popular. But able to, like I said, from Podbean, I can share to Facebook. On the YouTube account, I'll send it back to Facebook as well, and it's right there. Easy to access. You can see the websites there, the followers. I can continue to invite friends, and it's been great. Twitter, I was a little nervous to get onto just because it is a different platform, and I wasn't really sure how well it'd take. And obviously, as you can tell, I only do have 23 followers, but I really haven't promoted the Twitter page quite yet. But once I do, I feel like my friends will take more participation in the Twitter page as well, because it's just like Facebook. But like I said, it's the same stuff here, and it's been really good. Looking forward to it. I actually, for my capstone page, the research page and everything, it's really tough finding articles about podcasting and, the uprise. It is kind of new, so the the content for that is a little tough. So I had to go out and create my own content. So I was lucky enough to, because of Twitter, I personal messaged a sports broadcaster that does play-by-play on the TV for the Seattle Mariners, which is my favorite team. So his name is Dave Sims. And reaching out for him, I was able to conduct a phone interview with him just a week ago. And it was like 17 minutes, but it was just a phenomenal, just because this is a guy I've grown up listening to and a guy that has had a rich history in sports broadcasting. So soon to be, if you follow the page, I'm hoping to get his okay to put that interview into the podcast. And I think once I do that, a lot of people from back home are going to listen, because if you follow the Mariners, you know who Dave Sims is. So really excited about that. So here I'm going to share just a quick the intro of the podcast, and a little bit kind of what we talked about. So in this episode number 4, it was the NBA playoff predictions, and if anybody follows, it's for me it's more opinion based. I'll get some research and get some stats, but more it's just kind of gut feeling, what I think I've seen out of the teams. And so this is a quick rundown.
Broadcasting live at Bacone College in Muskogee, Oklahoma. This is Springer Sports. I'm your host, Blake Springer. Let's ball out, friends.
Hey, folks, it's game time here on Springer Sports. I'm your host, Blake Springer, like you heard in the intro. Today, again this week, I have joining me through Skype my good buddy Kellen. Kellen, how are we doing?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always.
I'm just glad to have it back. It makes it a little easier when you're able to, have a buddy come on and do some debates. It makes the show go by quicker and makes the show fun for people to listen to. So I'm glad you're here. Today, folks, we're going to listen into Kellen. He has his it wasn't, a weekend that everybody kind of imagined. For him, it was still a positive weekend. Do you think this was a positive weekend for him moving forward?
Moving forward, yeah. I think any weekend that Tiger doesn't get hurt, that's a positive weekend at this point. He'll be back in contention, I bet, within the next couple months. He might even win a tournament by the end of the year.
So that's just kind of a brief. I was able to, because I record on the app, I just put my phone next to my laptop, and I was able to Skype with my buddy. Even though at first when we did it, he thought it sounded a little staticky, but it still sounds pretty good for not being in a professional studio. So that helps too, and it's been exciting. I'd like to, for my podcast, I'd like to take from what I did as a sports talk host back in Washington, and kind of implement it into my podcast. And, hopefully that when I go back home, if I go back home, I start up the sports talk show again, or I would like to continue to grow the podcast and move along with that and see how far it can take you, because you really never know what life can have in store for you. So that is me. I'm Blake Springer, and that's my podcast. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Well, as you can see, there is future. I don't think we have to worry that much. They are leading us into the unknown. What's past 360? Oh boy. Holographic